Katana Zero throws you into its world without much ceremony, which feels intentional. The game isn't interested in holding your hand. It's more of a sink or swim scenario, where failure is part of the design. You're a samurai, or at least a guy who really wishes he were a samurai, armed with a sword and the ability to manipulate time. Your moves are limited: slash, roll, jump, slow time, deflect bullets, but within those limits, the game invites you to experiment, to fail, and to adapt. It's simple on the surface, but that simplicity is deceptive. In Katana Zero, every action has weight. You die in one hit, your enemies die in one hit. The margin for error is razor thin, and yet, that's where the tension and satisfaction come from. It's a game of trial and error, of discarded attempts that eventually give way to moments of clarity. And in those moments, when everything clicks, you're not just playing, you're performing. At first, it's chaos. I was panic rolling through levels, barely surviving, and wondering what just happened. But by the third or fourth hour, something shifts. You start to see the patterns. You anticipate enemy movements, memorize item placements, and plan your attacks with precision. The game trains you, not through tutorials or tips, through failure. And when you finally get it right, when you chain together a perfect sequence of rolls, slashes, and deflections, it feels like you earned something. Not just progress, but mastery. It's a sensation that's unique to games, this catharsis that comes from transforming repetition into perfection. But Katana Zero isn't just about the gameplay. Its cryptic, noir-inspired narrative keeps you hooked between runs. You're piecing together who you are, what's happening, and why. The dialogue system lets you interrupt characters rudely or let them ramble, which feels oddly appropriate for a protagonist caught between apathy and existential dread. Visually, the game is stunning in its simplicity. The pixel art manages to convey more emotion and personality than most big-budget, hyper-realistic games. Characters are distinctive, stylish, even when you're not entirely sure what they're about. It's that one guy's hair, or is that a helmet? Does it matter? What matters is the atmosphere, the way the art and music work together to pull you deeper into the world. And the music. It's not just a backdrop, it's part of the experience. Whether you're slicing through enemies in a neon-lit club or unraveling your mind in a therapy session, the synthwave soundtrack sets the tone perfectly. It's not just sound, it's texture. It makes every slice of your blade, every deflected bullet feel like it belongs in this strange, fragmented world. What stands out most about Katana Zero is how it treats time, both in its mechanics and in how it asks you to spend your own. This isn't a game loaded with content for content's sake. There's no checklist of meaningless tasks, no grinding for minor rewards. Instead, the game respects your time by giving it purpose. Every failure, every loop, every discarded attempt feels like it matters because it's building towards something greater. It's a refreshing contrast to the trend of games that mistake quantity for quality, that fill their worlds with so much noise you forget what you are even doing. In Katana Zero, the loops aren't just a mechanic, they're a narrative device, a way of making you feel the protagonist's struggle to break free from his own cycles of violence and memory. It's a game that understands that time wasted isn't necessarily time lost, as long as there's meaning behind it. Ultimately, Katana Zero is short, sharp, and unforgettable. It's a game that challenges you, respects you, and rewards you for your perseverance. The gameplay is tight, the story is intriguing, and the aesthetics are a masterclass in minimalist design. If your backlog is like mine, overflowing with endless worlds to explore, this is one game that won't make you feel like you're just ticking a box. It's a reminder of what games can be when they're designed with purpose, not just profit in mind. If you haven't played it yet, don't let it gather dust any longer.